Hello and welcome back to the live series podcast brought to you by Amicus. This is the podcast that gives you insight into the life and role of tech leaders from all over the world. And today I'm joined by Vicens Fayos. He's a CTO. I did practice that a few times.
You did great. You did great.
Vicens is a freelance CTO and a co-founder as well currently. So Vicens, it's thrilling to have you on. I know we chatted a little bit before and I had a couple of practice goals on your name as well. And I feel like I got that fairly okay.
No. You did that with a perfect Catalan accent, I would say.
Perfect. Oh, I'll take that. How are you doing? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to the podcast. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
and looking forward to be helpful to your audience, of course.
Yeah, 100%. I think you've definitely got some experience that people can find value from. So just to kind of kick things off, anyone that hasn't maybe heard of you or your work, do you want to maybe just kind of tell us about your experience up to now?
Yes, of course. I mean, I will summarize because I have 20 years of experience and I could start from the beginning and then we will have the whole podcast just talking about my experience. This is not the point, okay? Yeah. I would say that I have both experience in corporate and as a contractor, okay? Let's say the first 10 years I was in companies working for advertising companies and big consultants companies, okay? PPDO, Accenture, blah, 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 blah. Then I said, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. So I moved to Germany. Okay, so and in Germany, where I started my career as a contractor and also in the startup scene. Okay, and also, of course, as a natural extension from that, I joined. I found a company. Okay, that is basically we are doing is data and coding services for marketing agencies. Okay, so that's what we are doing. In the meantime, also I help companies as a fractional CTO. Okay, based in my experience. That is my career in 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, it's very well done to make that brief. I know when we were chatting before, there was so much to get through with your experience, and I remember thinking at the time, like, this is the section of this podcast is going to go on for a while, like, but that was perfectly summarized. Perfectly.
Okay.
I honestly think, especially with you coming from a marketing background, like that must really help your case when you're kind of coming in as a contracted CTO and things like that. Like you obviously have like a really broad kind of view on things as opposed to just like a purely technical kind of pathway. And I think that's really interesting. But one thing I'd love to talk about today is kind of your interview style and kind of how you go about things in that sense. So do you want to maybe just sort of, how do you interview for roles if you're coming in as a maybe whatever kind of position? And you kind of need to build the team out. What's your approach to interviewing?
Okay, good question. Thank you. Well, of course, I have experience on that area. Okay, as a manager, as a technical producer in corporations like VDO, I had to interview candidates. Okay, and in that time, I was following what I thought it was the proper way. Okay, but now my opinion about that, I think the recruiting is broken. Actually, okay. So, and when I say that, it's not about your companies, okay. I think that the problem is in the corporate world, okay. Corporations are not recruiting properly. I don't know why, but well, I think I know why. Okay, I will try to explain you later on. Okay, but I think that you can see here, even the biggest companies, and I would like to put as an example Google. Okay, you see Google is one of the companies that everybody is following as an example, as a recruiting process. Okay, so a lot of it's an influencer for other companies. But you see Google, and you see that in the last 10 years they were not anymore disruptive. Okay, so I remember in the past, okay, where they launched Google Street View or Google Chrome or Google Docs. It was around 10 years ago. Okay, they were disruptive. I remember the cloud and everything. But now they are a money machine. So they do a lot of money and they do a lot of good things, of course, but they don't change anything. And that's why the people who's inside is different than the people who was before. Okay. And the question here is how it happened. Okay. And well, because I have some friends there and also because I have some theories, I think that Google has the classical problem a big corporation has. So I with this big name, okay, that basically there are career jumpers, Okay, so the people who is joining Google is not thinking in Google, is thinking the next step after Google. Okay, and when they are there, they are not 100% involved with what Google is offering. Okay, and they play what I call this corporatism thing. Okay, that I can detail better if you like. So that's the thing. So we try to do a process for recruiting, but the process is not working. Okay, it's more an art, I would say, data science. Although there are thousands of books and webinars and people teaching that, but it's complicated. But I understand, again, that big corporations, maybe they don't have other exit to do that. Okay, but the results are clear.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that you say when the big corporations kind of have a lot of career jumpers, because if it's a big name, people kind of want that name on the CV, and then they're happy to move on after that into something that they can get more involved with and more invested with.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you kind of, when you're coming into a team, how do you kind of deal with, excuse me, when you're kind of building the team itself, what do you kind of look for? Like, do you have a kind of mindset that you're looking for from developers already? Do you have, or are you quite happy to just kind of throw them straight in, hit the ground running, here's the project, get cracking? Or are you a little bit more sensitive to kind of onboarding people and things like that?
Okay, I can talk from my own experience. Okay, of course, I come from a very technical background. Okay, and when I was interviewing people, okay, of course, I knew what I was looking for. Okay, that is super important because I could notice some from the talk with the candidate. I could understand if he was a good fit or not in the technical side. Okay, and also what I like to do, okay, is to look for soft skills. Okay. I remember, for example, I remember one I contracted once, and I got him because he told me that he liked a series Lost. Okay, it was some time ago, Lost, you know. And we were talking, and then he told me, Lost is a great series. I said, oh, right, it's a very good series. And then we had some connection, and I liked him, and it was one of the best person we have in my team. Okay. And you would say, why? What's the relationship between Lost and the technical duties I was asking to you? But at the end, I don't know. It was like we are in the same level now. I mean, he was relaxing, and I saw him honest. Okay, and it came to my mind is because I was reading some books of recruiting and mentoring and so on, as Shackleton. Okay, that's from England, I think. Okay, he was going to the North Pole. Okay, he didn't reach it. Okay, but he was putting the crew to go to the North Pole. Okay, and he was interviewing 5,000 people. Okay, and he interviewed all them himself. Okay, he didn't delegate to nobody. Okay, and he was more worried about soft skills than hard skill. He was asking for the people, you know to sing, you can play the guitar, this kind of stuff. No, not like you are strong enough to resist for 2 months without almost food. Okay, that you would think about that, but no, it was like soft skill, because at the end, it's what you need when you have problems. Okay, singing is good for the mood. Okay, or I don't know. And the whole crew came back after, they were 3 months lost in the North Pole, but nobody was lost, and he was super. So I think that I lost the point maybe, but I think that I don't have a process. I really think the human component, again, in my experience, I have the opportunity to really be in touch with them. Big corporations, maybe they are so big that you have to do something else. It's like that.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you on that. I think you're hiring an individual, right? And there's a certain amount of people that can do hard skills, but then the soft skills are kind of, I think maybe I would ask if someone could sing or play guitar to come and join my marketing team or something. But I know what you were saying, and that you need someone who's got good morale and the ability to not be too negative in the workplace. And
Exactly.
generally, the same thing applies if you're going on an expedition to the North Pole, I suppose, as well. So in terms of when you're hiring, like, have you ever had someone kind of turn around to you? Have you ever been rejected as a hirer? Like, if you're kind of hiring somebody, have you ever kind of had somebody decline a role that you wanted to hire them for? And how have you, if that's so, how have you dealt with that?
Well, of course, I don't remember exactly now somebody having this so taking me to that. Usually, you talk to too many people, okay? Usually 10, 20, 30 people, and some of them they don't are interested on the position, but of course they are not telling you, okay, I don't like what you are offering to me, okay? So they politely say, okay, I'm something else. So, but I didn't experience that. No. I don't have a good insight about this question.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I think it's very rare, to be fair, that I think people kind of do see that happen. Because a lot of people that I have on the show are generally pretty good at what they do, and they don't really have people just reject them back. So that totally makes sense.
Actually, sorry I interrupt you, but I mean, I was working in advertising a lot of times, no, and people there were willing to come to the company. Okay, so they were willing to work even for free. Okay, that also I think is very bad idea, but I don't know why people is willing to do that, and I think it gets the opposite effect. But well, whatever. So I mean, I didn't have the problem. Maybe if I will be in a very great company, you know, maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
you know.
I see what you're saying. I do get you. It doesn't make a lot of sense, that, to be fair, does it? In terms of onboarding, how do you kind of take people under your wing, or are you pretty hands off with that kind of thing? Have you kind of got a team under you, and what's your kind of managerial style with that if somebody's just starting at the company?
In the onboarding, I mean, for that they follow up, I would say, a classic strategy. Okay, so basically, what I first is to teach him what is the word? I forgot. Well, the company's
like the values and things.
Values, exactly. So a kind of introduction. Okay, you have a playbook. You show him the product, the processes. Okay, so this kind of stuff. Okay, in a high overview. Okay, that is common for everybody. It doesn't matter the position he's joining. Okay. But of course, depending the project he's joining, then comes the second part. The second part is more the goals. Okay, what goals he wants, what he wants for me. Okay, also, so I put in the same position that him. I don't try to be more. Okay, so I expect that from you. What do you expect from me? Okay, and also the challenges, and I try to challenge him a bit. Okay, the expectations, and I try to challenge a bit, because at the end, it makes good results. Okay, so always, okay, you can do that, but if you do this, you will get some, I would say, money incentive. I really believe in the money for incentive somehow. Okay, so at the end, yeah.
No, I love that. I think especially with kind of just saying, like, coming in, if someone's starting a new role and you're kind of saying, we're here, it's not me up here and you down here.
Exactly.
This is how this is going to be. We're going to be at the same level. For anybody listening, my hands were going up and down then. But you should be watching on YouTube if you're going to see what I'm doing with my hands. It's like listening and they just don't know what I'm doing. It's like...
No problem. Okay, I'm trying to control myself. Spaniard, we move a lot in our hands. Okay, so I put my hand.
You can flop around as much as you want. Like, it doesn't matter too much. Okay, well, in terms of, like, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but obviously, as a kind of contracting CTO, in terms of how you obviously must work with a lot of different projects. Do you have like a similar mindset going into each one? Do you have like a template in your mind for how you're going to approach each project, or do you just take each one for as it is and figure it out from there?
Yeah, I would go the second option. I mean, each project is different. I mean, of course, as I told you, the values of the company and so on and so forth, when onboarding, they are similar. But when you go to the project itself, you need to be very specific, because each project is very different. The domain of the project, the client who is we are working with, so everything, you cannot create a template. And I never tried. Maybe somebody has some templates there, but I never looked into it because I felt quite comfortable. Yes, going to from my heart on that point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that, to be fair. You seem very like open-minded and very kind of on it with things like that. So I can totally imagine you being extremely free, just like turning up and just being like, yeah, like you do this, we're gonna do this, we're all here.
What I really like, because as I told you, the process is recruiting process is broken somehow. I like to test people. I think it's the best thing. So, and it's difficult. I mean, I did, but we did before, because when I was as a co-founder of the company. Okay, so to offer people go to freelancing and then move to perm later. Okay, so this way, because when you test somebody, it's great. I mean, you know if it's good or not good. Okay, I remember when I started freelancing somehow in Germany, I was amazed because the process was super simple. Okay, so when I was as an employee permanent, you have to do this test, you have to do this psychology test, blah, 5 or 4 weeks and months of going to the position. And after freelancing, I went there, I had a coffee with the responsible, and okay, you are into the company. Why? Because they knew they could just lay off me in 2 days later. Okay, so the pressure was much less for them and for me also. And then I just showed them what I could do, and that's it. And it was working for years somehow in some companies. Yeah,
that's a really interesting stand on it. I never actually thought about that. The kind of, if someone's a freelancer, it's kind of, you're just kind of relying on their soft skills and you can trust that they do a good job. Whereas someone's permanent, you do have these kind of rigorous tests and various stages of interviews. And I suppose, do you think that's because, you know, owners or CTOs or whoever's doing the hiring see freelancers as, I know, like you said, they're kind of a little bit more disposable, as opposed to the
exactly. That's the word.
A real
That's the feeling, or the rotten apple feeling you have with your employees there. With the freelance, like they are like kind of mercenaries somehow. Okay, although you can work in the team for 1-2 years, as I did, but and well, I don't know, this prejudices, I would say. Okay, it's like that. I never had a coding testing as a freelancer, and I was joining some positions that they require kind of good knowledge. Okay, but as an employee, I was doing 1 week of application that I was spent 30 hours working on this just to show them that I could do it, and so on.
That's it. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I suppose the frequency, if you were going to have to do a tech test or something every single time as a freelancer, you're going to be doing a tech test every few months. Whereas for a permanent role, the idea is that you're going to do it once and then you have to do it again for however many years. But do you think that maybe there could be more for like freelancers, so that, because like you said, like a lot of the time freelancers will move into a permanent position at the same company. Do you think, like, is there any point in that kind of contracting experience where you think that it's going to now move into a permanent move? And what's the kind of the process there? Like, how do leaders approach that? How do they kind of do they then choose to test you, or do they then have extra things to give you in order to make that decision to make you permanent? Or is it just kind of the experience that they've already had with you? Is that enough to tell them that you're going to be good and that's why they want you permanently?
Okay, so you're asking how they how to pass the people from freelancer to employee in the best way, no? I don't know how to. Okay. It's tricky, okay, because somehow, I mean, first of all, sometimes freelancing is a philosophy, okay? There are people who like to be freelancing, digital nomad, going Costa Rica and then New Zealand and so on and so forth, okay? So these people you can never put to employee, okay? But other people, they are only freelancing because it's first of all good paid, and they like to go to learn. Okay, so if you are, it will happen to me. Okay, so if you are in a company and I see I can learn, okay, because I like it in the time, technical things, learning a lot. Now bet less because I'm more business focused. So if I can learn and the salary somehow is more or less the same, of course you have to always to think that it's less paid, but you have more security and the I forgot the word, but the rent is, I mean the rent, no, I forgot the word, but you are paid, you have other
yeah, like mortgage, bills.
Exactly, mortgage was the word. Okay, so that at the end, you put things on the balance and you think, okay, so it's possible. We did it. So not with everybody, but we offer always the possibility. Okay.
Yeah.
But some companies doesn't like to go to employees. Some likes they want because freelance gives this flexibility to the balance sheet. Okay. Because you can always play with the numbers. And there are a lot of factors going into it.
Yeah, so it's not just a numbers game. It's a case of kind of the skills as well and how well this person's going to fit in. Like I suppose as well, if you've got to say, for example, a freelancer who's fully remote and then you want to kind of bring them in permanently, but they have to then do kind of on-site for 2 days a week.
You can forget it.
Yeah, that's it, right? That's on the freelancers' terms, right, as well. That's like they're not going to want to come in again, and that's not. No, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I think we've not really spoken too much about contracting and freelancing on the podcast, so it's really interesting to hear about. And it's obviously been really interesting to get your insight. I've got kind of like 2 more things that I kind of want to roughly talk around, and then so one of them is kind of when you restructure in teams. Maybe if you're more of a CTO level coming in, helping kind of reshuffle a team and things like that. How do you approach that? Like, do you kind of feel if you want to restructure something, do you get to know the team and then figure it out? Or do you just kind of look at it black and white? What positions have we got? What positions do we need? And then take it from there? Or do you like to kind of get in amongst it and get to know everyone personally and kind of figure it out that way? Talk me through that.
Well, I think you guessed my answer, but it's the most I mean, black and white, I don't like black and white. I have a good example about that because once we merged, okay, again in advertising, we merged with a company, okay, we were more in that time we were more the print campaigns and kind of software for supporting the TV and everything, and we merged with a data company, okay, of the same group, but they were more specialized in doing data, think with data, okay? So we merged all together, okay? And and the moment we had from 5 developers, we had 12 developers, okay? Okay, so the first question comes to you, okay? First of all, when something is merging, be careful because always there are some layered positions, okay? Because of course there are people who could be redundant, okay? And the most easy thing is always to lay off the people that was redundant, okay? In that case, we didn't do it because it was a good time for the company, so we reallocate somehow them, okay? And we created a lab where we put these people who were redundant to create things, okay, so on. But of course, so in my experience, I knew them very well. I knew my team very well. And the other people I knew somehow because they were in another floor in the same building. So because we're IT nerds somehow, so we had a lot of things in common. So we were partying sometimes, so we knew each other quite well, and I knew where to put each people in which position. Okay, of course I had the issue myself because I was the CTO, the technical producer of my department, but they had his own CTO also. Okay, so we had also to find how to work together. We found a way, but it could happen. Okay, Vicens, thanks for your services, but.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to be really careful, haven't you? And it's good to hear that you've got kind of a more gentle approach to it, of just like really figuring out and getting into the layers of the companies and figuring who's who, and instead of just, it's always a shame when layoffs have to be made, but it's.
But I mean, it was just luck. It could have happened in the last recession, whatever, and then you have to do it. It's like that.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's great. It's a great insight to have. And it's actually been some really cool insight generally from you. Like it's honest, like it's the first time we've really spoken about kind of the perspective of a freelancer on the podcast. So it's been really interesting to hear about that. And generally just kind of, I'd love to get you back on maybe in 6 months and see what else you've been up to, and then chat some more freelance and contracting stuff, because we've obviously got a freelance and contract team at Amicus, and they don't really get the chance too much with the podcast to kind of, you know, have their kind of stuff said. So it's really interesting to get this perspective. Yeah, so my last kind of question for you is just kind of a little bit of a general one, but what kind of advice do you have for someone who wants to be in a similar position to you someday?
Okay. Well, I would say the only advice I would give to him would be to be humble. It's like that. So because at the end, there are a world of technologies, a world of knowledge outside. Nobody can know everything. It's impossible. Okay. If somebody pretends to know everything, it's lying. Okay. There are people who lie very well, but they're lying. Okay. And that's it. So don't reject technology because it's old or fashioned. Okay. Just because I experienced that myself. Okay. I don't want to do that. It's very old. Okay. But at the end, you learn always for everything. Okay. And yeah, I mean, it would be my main advice to the people: be humble, yeah, and learn, always learning.
Yeah, it's solid advice, and I think it's definitely something that in the world of tech, where there can sometimes be lots of egos and lots of really, you know, kind of very, very intelligent people, I think being humble is something that you definitely need to kind of keep to stay grounded as a professional. So honestly, Vicens, it's been absolutely lovely having you on. I think I definitely would love to get you on again as well and get you some of your insight, see what you're doing in 6 months' time, and try and kind of see what you're up to and get some more advice for our freelancers listening as well, because it's been really cool. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's been
thank you, Heather, for having me again. Yeah, hopefully it will helpful to somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm positive it will be. Absolutely will be. And if on that note, if you're watching on YouTube, you can hover over the logo in the corner just there. Hit subscribe so you can see the next one. And then also follow us at Amicus Jobs across all the socials, and at Amicus Recruitment over on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. Head to our website, amicusjobs.com. for all of the tech news, all of the other podcast episodes, and a bunch of other stuff that I'm not going to list off because there's too many. So, Vicens, thank you so much again. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Heather. Have a nice day.
No worries.
See you. Bye-bye.